Seven o'clock. I'll call the meeting to order. I'm Grace Lesperance, Cascade Supervisor. Clerk Slater, please call the roll.
Trustee Nordhook.
Here.
Trustee McDonald.
Here.
Supervisor Lesperance.
Here.
Treasurer Coruscant is excused. Trustee Kessel.
Here.
Trustee Shipley.
Present.
And Clerk Slater here.
Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Is there a motion to approve tonight's agenda?
Shipley approves or makes motion to approve the agenda as presented. Support.
It's a motion by Trustee Shipley, supported by Trustee Kessel, to approve the agenda. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Article 4 presentations. We have one this evening. Manager Andrzejewski, I'll turn it over to you.
Yes, thank you. I got a call last week and from a representative from Republic Waste, and they asked if they could speak to the council, to the township board today. And I felt it was important that any representative from any company who has a matter concerning the township should be allowed to give a talk or a presentation. So I want to introduce Jack from Republic Waste. He's going to talk about the, I believe it's called the County Sustainability Project, and he asked to speak, so we're going to allow the speech.
All right, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I appreciate you allowing me to come in to talk with you. What I want to discuss with everybody is it's called the Kent County Sustainability Park. It is it's something that Kent County DPW has been working on for the last couple of years, and it's at the cusp of coming to fruition. If not looked at, there will be a Board of Commissioners meeting on August 24th. Where this park will either be approved or not approved. What it consists of, it's a $382 million park. I do have a slides. I don't know if that made it. No? Okay. Well, hopefully they'll be posted on the website, but essentially it's a $382 million facility to handle waste. It will be, it's primarily through a company called Energia, who will be the primary holder of the park. They're investing $300 million, and the county's putting in about $80 million. The catch to all this is, for this park to exist and for Energia to make this financially sound, Kent County has to flow control the whole market. What that means is every hauler in Kent County is mandated to take all waste that's generated in Kent County to this park. The other side of that is, right now, this material could be going to our landfill, Republic Services landfill, Waste Management's landfill. It could even be going to Kent County's landfill at roughly $35 a ton. If it's ours, if it's waste. Going forward for this park, right now, the projection is $97 a ton. So every resident, every business in Cascade Township, quite frankly, in all of Kent County, but certainly as it relates to you guys, will be seeing a 70% increase in costs. The restaurants, they're projecting 60-70% increases in the cost of doing business just to do the same thing they're doing today with their waste, except sending it to the Kent County Sustainability Park. One of the slides is, it was put together by the, it was put together by the Michigan Waste Recycle Association as an opposition to this. Originally, this park came out, it had another tenant with it that was going to produce deck boards off some of the byproducts of the waste stream. That company has since bowed out of the project. So it leaves Energia. For this to be financially feasible for Energia, they're guaranteeing them 400 tons of waste per month. However, only 200 of those tons will be processed. 200 will go back out as whole trash to a landfill, whether it be Kent County's landfill, our landfill, waste landfill. So only half of the material is going to be handled through this process through a anaerobic digester that will produce natural gas off of that. There will be a sort line to try to recover some of the recyclables that maybe didn't make it into a recyclable bin, but at an extreme cost to residents. Residents in this community will see upwards of 40% increases in their waste, in their cost of trash. So it's the reason I asked to come here is it's not very well known that this exists out there. And this is a month away from becoming a thing that there's no turning around on. So your board of commissioners, Dave Hildenbrand and Walter Bujak, will be voting on this thing on your behalf. So our hope is that residents, businesses within your community will reach out to them to express their whatever, displeasure with this, concern with this. So there was also a brochure put together by the Grand Rapids Chamber, just kind of outlining what some of the cost assumptions were. And as I said, you're looking, on here, the high side restaurants could see 122% increase in their disposal costs. Again, $30 a ton to $100 a ton right now, which again, keep in mind that 100 is what they charge the haulers. That's not what the residents, that's not what the business will see, because there will be another number on top of that. So this is a substantial increase for your community, as well as all the communities in Kent County. And once it's flow controlled, we have no say in it. So as I represent Republic Services and adamantly we are opposed to this, I speak with the majority of the haulers in the area that are also in opposition of this. It's just not the right facility at the right cost for this community right now. So what we're asking is that you reach out to your board of commissioners and maybe express that maybe we need to take a step back and review this a little bit more. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Brown.
Start with me?
Yep.
Hi,
Yes, sir.
who's pushing this?
Kent County DPW,
You have a name of someone?
Mr. Bass.
Mr. Bass, like the fish,
Yes.
okay?
Yep.
Secondly, I have yet to get an answer from the city or from the county or anybody else as to why it costs us money in Kent County to dispose of trash. For instance, I hear the city pays several $1 million a year to haul away trash that isn't recyclable. But yet in the press back in December, it showed that, I believe it was Charlevoix.
Recyclables.
Yeah, Charlevoix actually made millions of dollars off of their recyclables.
I can't answer that. I can certainly, the cost of processing, now I don't know when this Charlevoix was, where their numbers were coming from, but I will say the cost of processing recyclables right now is higher than what the market value of those recyclables are, and kind of has been for a while. So where Charlevoix is going with it or what they're doing with it, I'm unaware, obviously, but the market is pretty, it's lower than COVID time.
And I realize it fluctuates up and
It's a
down.
stock market, right? Yep, it goes like the stock market, but Kent County does have the recycle facility. Their processing cost is $75 a ton. And last I knew, they were working from a negative balance, even at the 75. But their desire was to, still keep it somewhat competitive to make recycling a viable product in Kent County.
at the cost of the residents.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, cost is, it's going somewhere. If this part goes through, it will be irrelevant because it'll be $100 a ton to landfill it versus 75 to process it through a recycle facility. You've just flip-flopped, but that's not the right answer for our community.
Thank you.
You're welcome, sir.
Who put this presentation together?
For the, this one,
Yes, we've got it.
this
It's
was
just-
done by the Michigan Waste Recycle Association.
And this major investor filed bankruptcy.
Yeah, so they had a facility in California that they had opened in preparation of the LA, who had enacted a kind of a legislative rule on picking up organics. And so Energia built a facility there, created a facility. The volume did not occur like they had expected, and they couldn't handle the shortfall of that. Hence the reason why Kent County is saying we gotta flow control this, because they want to guarantee, which is shocking to me, a private enterprise X amount of revenue every month for them to come and open this facility. So that's kind of why, yes, we don't know how financially good they are, but more important, that's why Kent County is saying we have to flow control. Yes, sir.
Oh, no, you, Sue.
I have a question simply in the, it's not broke, don't fix it department. Is
Yes,
this, why?
Well, so they're using that the Kent County landfill is reaching its capacity for airspace, which is how it's measured for how much disposal you can put in there. So do they go get an expansion? Do they look at this? As a waste hauler and owner of a landfill as ourselves and Waste Management, there's enough landfill space in this community that Kent County could close their facility and we would still have capacity within the two private landfills to handle this. So, yeah.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
So the public understands, we use sometimes words in government. You say flow control.
Yeah.
That just say,
Okay.
just say all the trash
Yep.
by law would then have to go to the county landfill. No choice.
No choice.
Okay.
No choice as a hauler. So they'll build a border around Kent County, and all the waste that's generated in that area will be mandated to go to,
We use the word flow control, but that means mandatory goes to that site and nowhere else.
nowhere else, right?
Now, the other question I had is, I saw, there's a video for everybody out there. There's a video put out by the county as a 3-4 minute video that gives their side of it if you want to take a look at it. But one of the things I noticed on there was there was supposed to be partners lined up to do recycling. And they're talking about on that video, recycling 80 or 90% of it. But the one partner they had is now gone. Are there any other partners lined up to do recycling?
So the last meeting I was involved in, which was maybe 3 weeks ago, they have interested parties, but no commitments at that time. Where they stand today, I'm not sure if they have any committed parties other than this Energia.
And the other part for the board to know and the public to know is I just stumbled upon this. I'm reading something that says new county sustainability park. And I'm thinking, wow, that's nice. They're going to build a new park. Well, I started looking, what does the word sustainability mean? And the word sustainability means a trash dump. So
Depends on who you ask.
yeah, it depends on who you ask. So there is the other side of the coin. If you guys want to go out there and look, it's on the internet. It'll give the county side of it. But I thought it was important. I did this on my own and invite Jack here to speak to you guys.
Yep, I had reached out to Ted and asked if I could come present, because like I say, this is not as known as it should be. It's not out there in front of everybody, and it really should be, because the financial impact to businesses, and when I was speaking with Ted, I mentioned a local school. is going to look at a $20,000 a year increase during their school season. For this, if this project comes through. A larger school could see a 56, I mean, they're seeing, it's a teacher is what they're going to see in salary.
Thank you.
Thank you. And we did reach out to both our commissioners in the Cascade district, and they are certainly welcome to come at least to the township board meetings, talk, as well as the other side, because I heard from our state rep and some other people. I don't know enough about it to comment on it or take
Sure.
a side, but I heard the whole other spiel. We just didn't know about it until then.
Right.
So we've got one more meeting at the township that the other side is welcome to speak on too. But we
Well,
appreciate
I
you
appreciate
helping
you
us.
allowing me to do this.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Article 5, public comments. Now is the time to comment on anything on tonight's agenda that isn't scheduled for a public hearing. Tonight, we have no public hearing scheduled. So that would be, so right now would be the time to comment on issues that the board will consider tonight, including the Wormies operation out on Whitneyville Road, 2023 millage rates, the fire station number 1's furniture bids, Metro Cruise permit, a rezoning issue out on Alaska Ridge, and then lastly, the last agenda item, which isn't well described, but it has to do with the township's ordinance about mandatory hookup to city sewer or city water upon sale. So those are the issues that we welcome public comments on right now. Following the board's business, we'll have another opportunity where the public can comment on any issue on the agenda or not.
Supervisor, I'll be keeping the time.
Thank you.
Good morning, board. Or good afternoon, board. Darbas, Director of Public Works for Kent County.
Oh, welcome to, sorry, we didn't know who you were.
Yes, and I'm not sure if this is the appropriate time because it was on the agenda of the presentation. So I'm happy to wait till after the meeting. I just wasn't sure which.
To be fair, go ahead now. I'm sorry, I reached out to the county, but I didn't, not you. So thanks for coming.
Thank you. So my name is Darwin Bass. I'm the Director of Public Works for Kent County.
So you are who we just spoke about.
Yes, but I'm not a fish. BAAS, it's Dutch.
Got it.
Dutch fish.
Our offices are located at 1045 Wealthy Street in Grand Rapids. Kent County DPW has been working on the Sustainable Business Park project since 2016 to create a viable alternative to building a new landfill in Kent County. The current public landfill, South Kent Landfill, is projected to reach capacity in 2030. Over 7 million tons of trash is buried there. Kent County residents, businesses generate 1 million tons of trash a year. Businesses and multifamily residents have virtually no access to recycling. The haulers will tell you that that's what their customers want. I'm not surprised by what you heard a few minutes ago. The landfill operators have clearly stated they want a landfill. They have offered no other solution to us in the last 8 years. For the past 18 months, the Sustainable Business Park Advisory Group, 14 members from the community, including township representatives, have met to develop a set of recommendations, and we can provide those to you. Kent County Administration and DPW have provided several presentations to the township supervisors meetings and the quarterly quadrant meetings the last few years. We'd be happy to provide you a presentation on Sustainable Business Park. There is on average 40 years of capacity left in the West Michigan area in landfilling. The Sustainable Business Park is a step forward in reducing Kent County's reliance on landfills, which has short-term and long-term risk for monitoring and post-care. With the addition of the Sustainable Business Park, we can achieve a 65% diversion rate from landfill, protecting future generations and pumping millions of dollars into our economy. We'd like to point out several inaccuracies in the material that was just presented. This is a private-public partnership between Kent County. Energia has not declared bankruptcy. They are prepared to invest $300 million in our community to make this a reality. Kent County will own the facility. Kent County will own the Sustainable Business Park. We're more than a partner. We're actually the lead on this. 75% of what could be recycled never makes it into the right bin. It is thrown away and it goes to the landfill. This project will capture 1 million tons of commodities over the next 25 years and return that to our economy. We manage PFAS at closed landfills. We deal with that issue every day. There's a suggestion that PFAS is airborne in your presentation. Not true. If PFAS was airborne, we'd have to close our recycling facility. We'd have to close our transfer station. And the hauler who was up here would have to close every operation they have other than landfilling in this country because they're a national operator. The costs they shared with you are inaccurate and they're false. The Chamber of Commerce recently adjusted the chart that is included in your packet to better reflect the true potential cost increases. We expect those to be about $3 a month for the average homeowner resident in your township. What does that do? That provides a 65% diversion rate. Our diversion rate today is less than 25%. And without this facility and without our waste energy facility, it would drop to about 5%. Waste to energy, the facility that we currently use with flow control, covers 2/3 of the county. We've had flow control since 1985. It works and it works well. It allows the county and it allows industry to make the investments they need to make to be able to make these facilities operate, because landfill is cheaper. There's no question about it. But there's 7 million tons of trash buried in Byron Township by every resident and business located in this county. And what we don't want to do is build another landfill in this township or in Cannon Township or in Plainfield Township or pick the township in the county, because we've already burdened Kent County and we've already burdened Byron Township with a 300-acre landfill that opened in 1982 and will be closed in 2030. I think the last thing that I want to speak to is that if we make a decision to build another landfill, and as the director, I have to make that recommendation to our Board of Public Works. That decision looks forward 70 years. We design, we permit, we build it, we open it in 2030, we run it for 30 years, then we have to monitor it for another 30 years. We're looking at the year 2080 or 2090 from the impacts of that landfill operation. We can continue to landfill. The industry wants to landfill. One last thing, our waste energy facility has been operating and generating electricity since 1990. In those 33 years, just in the 6 cities, so it'd be the city of Grand Rapids and the other cities around it, we have been able to recover 145,000 tons of scrap metal off the back end of that process, things that were thrown away. To give you some concept of what that is, 145,000 tons of scrap metal would build 2 USS Gerald R. Ford aircraft carriers or 2 Mackinac bridges. We're making a decision, 2030, we want to divert 90% of what's going to landfill. We want to recapture the value of those commodities. We want to move that back into our economy. And we're at the cusp of doing something really incredible, but we don't want to landfill anymore. I thank you for your time, and we'd be happy to provide a full presentation on the project that's before you.
Thank you so much for coming tonight.
Thank you.
It's better to have a balanced discussion, at least balanced presentation.
Can we ask a few questions?
Absolutely. If you don't mind.
I'm happy to.
There's a huge discrepancy between $3 a month increase to the residents and going from $30 a ton to $97 a ton. You indicated that that information is inaccurate. Who do we believe? And what happens if the residents don't get $3 a month? They get $30 a month or $40 a month increase. What do we do then?
So the average resident, and the industry knows this, generates about 1 ton of trash a year. 1 ton, 2,000 pounds.
The average household or resident?
Average household. Thank you for that clarification. The average household.
I'm just saying, who do we believe?
Well, what I would suggest is that the county has used the likes of GBB, a consultant, Fishbeck, Plant Moran, and we've spent months developing the work around this. In fact, we've spent years. When the $97 that was quoted, it's not 97. It's somewhere between 87 and 94. We're looking to move that number down.
And right now the residents pay $30 a ton, or the companies pay $30 a ton, which is passed on to the residents. So it is a triple.
It is not a triple because at least in the waste energy facility, we currently charge 75. Our landfill starting in October would charge 54. 80% of the trash, municipal solid waste disposed of in Kent County, 80% comes to a Kent County facility. It doesn't go to an out of county facility. So the $30 number that you were given is not true. It's
What
not
is the-
correct.
What is the number?
We will be charging $54 a ton at the South Kent landfill starting October 1, 2023.
And when the new sustainability park goes in, what will the number be?
Somewhere we estimate between 87 and 94.
Okay, I'm not trying to be combative.
No,
I just,
But we're struggling with the fact that there's a lot of information that's just thrown out there. That's really not fair.
and the other thing I was wondering, I was wondering,
Sure.
is why we never heard of this until a month before the actual vote.
Yeah. So it's back to, we have made multiple presentations to the Township Supervisors Group. We've made multiple presentations to the quadrant meeting groups that the county administrator hosts. We've had a work group working for 18 months on this that included 2 township supervisors. So we've done a tremendous amount of work to share the information. Again, we're happy to present to anyone. I'm sorry that it's a surprise, but we've worked incredibly hard to be very inclusive, to bring work groups together. Again, we met every other week for a year and a half. That included township supervisors.
Just so we're clear though, I had never heard of it, so I
Sure.
realized, and either through management or outside,
Sure.
and Ada Township hadn't really either, so I just want to cover our own.
Yeah. and
We hadn't heard about the airport's plan for on-off ramps at the air, on Thorn
there's so
River
many-
Drive either,
There's
so.
obviously so many projects going
Yeah.
on and lots of things to talk about, but we really did work hard
No, I appreciate it. I just wanted to be,
to be inclusive.
The residents of this township and the residents of this county don't want guesstimates. Well, it'll be about $3 a month more. We're tired of guesstimates and open-ended budgets, and we're tired of not getting straight answers from the politicians. Now, I suppose, and I'm guessing that most people would support you if we had more firm answers. And when we hear, let me finish. I'm speaking as a resident. And when we hear that this company that has agreed to it, but not really agreed to it, has some buyers for the recyclables, but really don't have buyers for the recyclable, and may have or may not have gone belly up in California, guess what? As a resident, that raises a great big red flag above my house. And I doubt the county has the best interests of the township residents, just speaking for this township, in their mind. Especially when I mentioned that it was published last December that Grand Rapids has got a problem with their recycling program compared to up north.
I would,
And that I've said everything that I need to say.
may I respond?
yes.
I would encourage you to take a much closer look at the Charlevoix example, because I don't believe what was shared is necessarily 100% accurate. Kent County has been in the business of managing municipal solid waste since 1968. We've been running a recycling facility since 1990. We've been running landfills since the 1970s. We've been running a waste energy facility since the 1990s, and we've been running a transfer station since the 1990s. We have 60 years of experience running these facilities. I'm not suggesting that, well, maybe I am suggesting, I know that for a fact, I have a waste hauler that delivers service to my home. It's the same waste hauler that my finance director has, who sits next to me in the office. It's the exact same service, recycling and trash in 2 different townships. I pay $58. She pays $107.
Private hauler?
Yes. So what I would caution you is that the information that's being shared with you, in my mind, is a bit fast and loose. We have the benefit to Cascade. I'm wondering if the Cascade Township residents would like Kent County to begin searching for 300 or 400 acres of new landfill space in your township.
We don't have it.
Whether you do or don't, my example is Byron Township had to live that. Landfills have to go somewhere.
Actually, we do have it in a different form when we took one for the team in a different county project, but
So our concern, of course, is the millions of dollars, that million tons of commodities that I mentioned that will be recovered. That's just the commodities. That's not the renewable natural gas. That's not the two other companies that was suggested may or may not be interested in the project. They're there. They're just waiting. They're waiting for the main project, the anchor tenant, to be sited. And we're talking and working with Fortune 200, Fortune 500 companies that want to do business in Kent County because they see where this could potentially go. We're looking at and projecting that this will be a $1 billion investment for West Michigan with these facilities.
So you're guaranteeing that there won't be any request for a millage for Kent County for operating this? You're guaranteeing that we're not going to pay more than $4 a month extra for this? This is what I'm hearing from your words. Because I'm still being stung by a Kent County millage for John Ball Zoo downtown Grand Rapids and Gerald R. Ford Museum downtown Grand Rapids. And oh, by the way, I still pay a fee to get into them. So I'm sorry, the county is really fighting an uphill battle here, much like Russia's fighting in Ukraine.
I don't see the relationship that way. Kent County DPW is an enterprise fund we run as a business. We have not ever charged a millage in the 60 years of our existence.
I'm talking about the county, thank you.
Kent County DPW is the county. We are a department of Kent County.
what if, is the project success dependent on that one company, Energia's partnership and success also? Or what happens if they bow out for whatever reason? Does that?
So there's certainly a lot of precaution that's been built into this. The reason that Energia was brought to the table as a potential operator, one of our mission, and we have a mission and a vision and we have values. One of our values is a public-private collaborative effort. And we believe that the best effort is to take the best of public policy, marry that with the best thinking and the best technology in the private sector. And as it stands, this is a 80-20 private public investment where the county will invest 20% and the private sector will invest 80% to make this happen. There are many provisions in the contract and elsewhere to make sure this is adding to our fleet of facilities. Really, this is a philosophical conversation that if we will continue to operate our North Kent transfer station, we will continue to operate our recycling facility that, by the way, provides recycling for 8 counties, including Kent. We will continue to operate our waste energy facility. What we're trying to do is recognize that landfilling comes with significant long-term environmental impacts. It also impacts the neighborhood. We try to be a good neighbor, but there's something called PFAS and stormwater and leachate and gas and all the other things, all the other impacts. It impacts property values. It impacts, it has environmental impacts. The property can't be used. We took 300-400 acres on Byron Township that was farmland and made it a landfill. Prior to that, we took another bunch of acres in Plainfield Township and made that a landfill and closed that. And we're still managing 2 other landfills in Kent County that became Superfund sites that we took over in the 60s because of the indiscriminate dumping that was occurred there. So there's significant impact to landfilling. And we think philosophically, and we look at what could be recycled. And recycling is simply taking a commodity and moving it and sorting it and putting it into a bale that can be then sent back to the manufacturer, to the processor to be used again. You're simply capturing that value before you're throwing it away. And that's the goal that we have. So the site as proposed will produce commodities. I mentioned that 1 million tons of commodities over the next 25 years. It will produce enough renewable natural gas to provide for 7,000 homes here in the West Michigan area. It'll produce a fertilizer product that can be used instead of chemical fertilizer or blended with a chemical fertilizer and used here in West Michigan. there are so many advantages and so many things that we can do, or we can dump it all in a landfill and walk away.
I have a question. We have an investor that's going to put up $300 million. What are they expecting for return on investment? And will the $3 a month provide that?
So the increase in the $3 a month is not just for that facility. The $3 a month increase will cover all the operations that the Department of Public Works had, including adding this facility into our fleet.
The $300 million the investor's putting up, how are they getting it back and what's their return on investment?
I do not know what their return on investment is. That's their,
And how do we know it's $3 a month?
because of the fee that they will charge the county to process the waste and the analysis that we did with Plant Moran, looking at our total cost of operations.
Those numbers are already solid.
We spent the better part of 3 months with Plant Moran developing the modeling to ensure that when we delivered a project to the Kent County Commissioners for consideration, that our goal has always been to under promise and over deliver.
Plant Moran is not a dummy company. I'm sure they know what the return on investment is on that 300 million.
We didn't ask Energy, it's up to Energy in our mind to do the assessment on what their return on investment needs to be. We evaluated what our return on investment would be. Again, we're a public sector company or agency department. We're here to provide services to the Kent County, but not to generate profit. We simply drive that back into the cost of our operations to reduce the tipping fee.
Well, here's the thing. What we're doing is taking away competition. We're, again, going back to your statement about flow control, I don't care, flow control. It's every piece of trash in this county has to go to that landfill.
That's not true.
All right, then what is true?
Only municipal solid waste, which is about half of the total waste stream.
Restaurants, bars, schools, where is that going?
That's municipal solid waste. Industrial waste doesn't go there. Construction demolition debris doesn't go there.
The majority is homes and businesses.
That's not true. It's only 50%.
All right. And again, I don't want to be combative. I just would like you to answer
Well,
this
and
question. Are we guaranteeing that company a certain amount of trash to process? And therefore, they're going to turn that into, and it's fine, that's a private company. They're going to turn that into the profit. So we are guaranteeing them that much of trash to process, rather than going on the open market and let competition take over.
So the Kent County Fiscal Services Department, through its purchasing department, issued a worldwide international request for proposal. We received proposals from around the world and from this country. We narrowed those proposals down to 2 and ultimately accepted Energia's proposal to move forward. So there was a full request for proposal. 2 of the waste hauling companies, their national haulers, actually responded to that request for proposal and were a part of that proposal process. Their answer, we want to landfill it. It didn't
But
meet.
you didn't answer the question. Are we guaranteeing them a certain amount of trash to process so they can turn it into their profit?
The Kent County system would require that material, the municipal solid waste, flow to that facility. It was bid out, and through an extensive procurement process, a company was selected, just like the county and this township and others bid projects for roads or whatever it might be. And they select a company to do that through a procurement process.
Just one last question. If a Waste Management, if a Republic, if Joe Schmo's company wanted to take their trash from Kent County to their own landfill, could they do it?
If it's municipal solid waste, it would be required to flow to our facility.
So there goes your competition. They have no choice but to pay the rate that either the county or that facility charges. They can't say, well, we can do better. We'll charge $15 a ton lower.
Philosophically, if they were going to provide 175,000 tons of organics processing in the county a year and be able to process 400,000 tons of municipal solid waste and extract the value from that, I would agree with you wholeheartedly. But what you're suggesting is that we know that landfilling is cheaper. We can landfill cheaper.
But then but then we've got a bunch of landfills
We do it
and we're
every
not
day.
doing anybody any favors down the road.
We landfill every day. So it's not a matter of us taking the choice away. What we're sharing with you is the county through the state, through the Solid Waste Management Act, Part 115 of the 451, 1994, requires the county to develop what was known as a solid waste management plan. In the future, because of the changes in the state statute in December, now it's called a materials management plan. The state of Michigan is looking to minimize landfilling and increase the diversion rate, I believe, up to 45%. Our concern is that we're only at about 25% today.
You can't tell me $3 a month if you don't know the return on investment that the investor is going to want. A year down the road, he's going to say, hey, I'm not getting my money back on my 300 million. We're going to have to bump this to $12 a month. That's what I'm afraid of.
So the contract isn't set up that way. The contract is set up. Certainly there's CPI adders in there from year to year, but we have that with every contract where it's a long-term contract. What we have is a cost per month or per ton of what it's going to cost to process that material. Just as we have a cost per ton, we've been running, the example I would use is we've been running our waste energy facility since 1990.
So you know what the investor is going to get back cost per ton for his 300 million.
No,
Then you can't tell me $3 a month.
no, because they tell us, they share with us what their charge to us is going to be on a per ton basis or on a per year basis. And then we do the analysis to back that into the number that we need to operate the facility.
The thing of it is, when you cut right to the chase, we don't have a say in this. We can talk to our rep, our state rep, and we can talk to our county rep and encourage them not to vote for it. But we as Cascade Township, our residents are going to get what happens as a result of that vote. And
So we're happy not to have to make the tough call on this one, but we very much appreciate both of you figuring out what happens to all of our trash.
Thank you.
It's not easy. And we're really glad that you showed up tonight, both of you, to get the word out there and catch us up.
And we're happy to provide a full presentation on the project with a PowerPoint, if that would be helpful to the board.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you both. Public comments.
We're still on public.
We actually went back to presentations, just didn't know it. 3 minutes, please state your name and address for record keeping. We'll do everyone in person first who wants to talk about something on tonight's agenda, and then we'll go see if anyone is online. Not all at once.
If anyone would like,
Mr. Van Stokema, welcome.
No stranger here. Kick it off. All right, Scott Van Solkman, 2570 Orange. A few things. I saw the Cascade Township Facebook page already announced the Metro Cruise warm-up, which you guys are technically approving tonight. Now, I'm assuming there's probably no issues. That's been going on for 5-6 years, but I just think staff probably just jumped the gun a little bit on that. So they already announced it, even though you guys haven't approved it. So just that. Also, I'm in 100% in favor of wormies. I went out to their facility, talked with the people there. It looks great. And right now there's not much of a facility because they're not going to invest a whole bunch of money if you guys don't allow them to do that. And obviously what was just discussed about landfills and this and that, they take plant matter and compost it. And it's a natural process that happens every day out in the woods, trees and leaves fall or what have you, and they break down naturally. And they just maybe speed it up a little bit and or help to harness that to then get better soil for use for more planting. A lot of people want organic farming. And the best way to get organic farming is to have really good soil full of nutrients, which they get naturally. And they're not getting, meat waste or rotten food or this or that. They're getting plant food scraps or what have you, which could help not fill up a landfill as fast. So basically that sustainability park is sort of like a little, there, at least from my layman term, and I'm sure the people that work there can explain a little bit better, they're having a little microcosm on a 13.5 acre parcel. They're using not even an acre of it to actually do that. And I know Byron Township, they got stuck with a 300 acre landfill, but we got stuck with a 2,500 acre airport. So, which also got PFAS leached into the neighborhoods. So damned if you do, damned if you don't with government. I'd personally take an airport over the landfill, but that's just my opinion. So, but that's it. So yeah, when the Wormies vote comes up, I definitely think the township should do it. It's in the right place. It is basically, it's agriculture. So
Thank you.
thank you.
We can bring you the microphone or you can come on up to the, either way.
Ken Manicock, 7,200 Layton. I was just wondering, with this heat we've been got last few days here, I went over to Myers the other day and they had 3 E-units over there. Somebody had a heat stroke or something. And we had a fire truck and an E-unit over there, plus a county cruiser. Are we getting reimbursed for the hotels and everything else that we had?
Which agenda item does this fall under?
I don't know.
It's easy. Not yet, but we're looking into it and it's certainly a priority.
The lawyers have been holding it back.
No, there's just been a lot. We've been doing so much. This one's not their fault, but between the transition with the manager, you're doing a fantastic job, but just we're catching up on a lot of things and we'll get there. I have talked to the sheriff. We both have been, the calls are way down, but agree that it's a priority.
So they did make an ordinance and they are going to get reimbursed for some of the calls, or they aren't, or?
That's the goal that
You
we
haven't
should be.
adopted it yet.
But when the lawyers decide,
No.
they're
it's
going to
just-
get off and give us an answer?
We'll get there when we can get there. We were doing everything we can, but I don't want to throw anyone under the bus. Well, I do, but not the lawyers. So
Okay, thank
we'll
you.
move as fast as we can on that. Thank you. Are you, Chrissy, can you bring this gentleman the microphone?
Who needs the microphone?
Oh, okay. Oh,
Rod Schultz, excuse me, Orange Avenue or Orange Court, there's a debate there. Anyway, on the worm farm, I grew up working on farms as a kid, going from one to the other. And having been involved in government before and real estate and everything, I believe in fee simple land. If you own it, if it's zoned for that, use it for that. And I'll tell you, I'm the kind of person that what I would do, if it were me and you didn't approve it, I'd put a pig farm there. That would solve that right then.
we're glad it's not you. Anyone virtually?
If any one of our Zoom participants would like to participate in this public comment about items on the agenda, please raise your hand. If you are participating via phone, please dial *9.
Approval of the consent agenda, discussion or comments or motion.
I make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Support.
It's a motion by trustee Kessel, supported by trustee McDonald to approve tonight's consent agenda. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Financial actions. Is there a motion or discussion?
I move to approve the financial actions.
Support.
It's a motion by trustee McDonald, supported by trustee Kessel to approve tonight's financial actions. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Article 8, unfinished business. Consider approval of a type 2 special use permit for a commercial composting operation at 5745 Whitneyville Avenue, commonly known as the Wormies. Planning Director Hilbrands is present tonight and prepared to provide an overview.
Yeah, I can just give a quick update or reminder on that as well. So the applicant's requesting a type 2 special use permit to allow for a commercial composting operation to be located at 5745 Whitneyville. That application was tabled at the June 28 board meeting to allow for further review of concerns that were brought up by a number of residents at both the board meeting and the previous planning commission meeting. Concerns included potential negative health effects and contaminants, increased traffic, the introduction of a commercial use, and noxious odors as well. Township Legal Counsel was also asked to review the proposed conditions. The applicant has provided a letter that includes some additional information to address some of the concerns that have been brought up, including a further breakdown of expected traffic on site, and then steps that are taken to prevent noxious odors and to prevent contaminants from leaving the site. In discussions with Township Legal Counsel, they have indicated that if there's a concern with retail sales, there could be additional conditions of approval that can be explored that would limit what may be sold on site. Since the applicant has provided additional information, the request is being brought back before the Township Board tonight. If you believe the information sufficiently addresses previous concerns, you may take action on the application. If you believe that additional review is still needed, you may table the application once again, or you could also send the application back to the Planning Commission to allow that group to provide further direction and recommendations as well.
Make a motion to move this item from the table.
Support.
It's a motion by trustee Kessel, supported by trustee McDonald, to remove this item from the table so that the board can discuss and or move. All in favor? Opposed? Discussion.
Brian, has the planning commission had a chance to review some of these modifications that were brought up by both the operator and legal?
They have not yet, no, since it's been at the board level, it was tabled there. So the planning commission hasn't given any insight yet, but if that's something the board is looking for, you could have that motion to send it back to the planning commission for further recommendation of.
Do you think that the planning commission could have some valued input on those modifications and proposed amendments?
I think they could, because they were heavily involved in kind of that initial ordinance creation and were familiar with the case. So hearing some of the concerns that were brought up both by residents and from board members themselves, I think they could provide some additional insight and work on crafting some possible conditions of approval to potentially address those concerns.
We have still a lot of issues with some other special use permits that we've had given out in the past in the township. I would be comfortable to also see some definitive guidelines and definitive actions that can be taken if something happens, like all of a sudden their planned program emits a whole bunch of odors. What can the township do about it other than sit on our thumbs? So I would like to see, if you do that, I would like to see some additional guidelines that would ensure the safety and the value of the residents.
Sure. Yep. Things like that can be added as well.
That's all I have.
I'd like to send this back to the planning commission. I think there's some things that can be taken care of at that level. We definitely want to get this right. So I think we have to spend the time to do that. So I would like to make a motion to send 0522033 approval of the special use permit for commercial composting operation at 5745 Whitneyville back to the planning commission.
I would like to support that, but I'd like to add a little comment if I could. Look, this is a composting farm and the product is dirt. And I think this applicant has shown us the science. I compliment Mr. Chen for the very thorough response that he gave to us as well as to the residents' concerns. I look at this, I have some really good friends who are very conservative and they say, government, get out of my face. This is my property. I should be able to do what I want, when I want. This is America. And then a month later, something happens and they say, gee, why doesn't the government prevent that? And I go, well, wait a minute. Last month you told me this and today you tell me now you want government intervention. And obviously what we need to do as a government unit here is have a good balance.
regulations are important. I think it's important for people to have the freedom to do what they want with their property. But there are reasons, safety reasons, and I think the Planning Commission did a great job putting together an ordinance that is very thorough. It puts a lot of parameters around wormies. I've never seen us regulate something this heavily. If you talk about heavy-handed government regulation.
I mean, proactively.
I agree. It is proactive. But I would just want to say compliment Wormies is they're going along with it. They agree to the conditions. So I think we have a really good balance here of a really good project, a deserving project, and we want to protect the residents, and we put all kinds of conditions in place. We've created a complete new special use permit ordinance. It has the vehicle, John, that you're asking for, that we can do reviews and stop the project. So I just want to say that, I think it's a great project, but I agree with Timmy that we should take this back to the Planning Commission, let them put finishing touches on it, and make sure everything is covered, which we've done the last year, but double check, triple check. And so I support sending it back to the Planning Commission.
Can I ask you, Director Hildebrands, a quick question? Based on discussions with legal counsel, is it correct to say that at this point, where we're at, when we make approval, if the current landowner voluntarily agrees to certain concessions, so for example, if the Wormies agreed that to be restricted, that no on-site retail at that location or limited hours, that kind of stuff, but basically only sell to customers that are existing and they come in to pick up. Anyways, if they're willing to make those voluntary concessions to kind of further us and make residents more comfortable, is it accurate to say that then we can put those in place and those run with the land?
That is correct. Yeah, the special use permit runs with the land. So if they sell in 20 years, all the same conditions would apply to whoever potentially would purchase it.
So based on this, because this particular landowner is so far willing to work with us and neighbors and make some concessions, we can allow that, but also then limit future property use for the times when
correct,
they no longer own the property.
Yep.
Clarification. So you're saying this would run with the land, but in Egypt Creek, it did not run with the land.
Different.
It is that's a different case there.
Different?
Yep.
Which is why it's so important and good that we don't rush into it, and that if the conversation continues with Wormies, because at this point, I think they are willing to limit retail and give up some of those commercial aspects of it. And then if they voluntarily do it, we record it. This is the chance now to have it run with the land.
Thank you.
So a motion by trustee Nordhook, supported by trustee McDonald, to take this agenda item as stated and refer it back to the Planning Commission for further review. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Article 9, new business. Resolution to approve the 2023 levy millage rates.
Yes. I moved to approve. Oh, we're going to get a presentation?
She came tonight, so let's give her.
Sure.
They asked me to come.
This is the house cleaning option, but go ahead. Item.
Here I am.
Thanks for
You
coming
go,
in
Tom.
person.
Thank you, board. Yeah, so this is just the regular thing we do annually. You guys, in December, we brought the millage rates to you. And then in the packet, I prepared the 4029 that we need to hand over to the county once it's approved. There's also the 4034 that shows that there was no Headley rollback. And so what we're just looking to do is have that approved this today, so we can send that over to the county for the winter collection.
Questions?
Yes.
Trustee Nordhook?
Just for the record, can you explain what the actual Cascade Township millage rate is?
The total millage rate, and that is on the, it's all broken down on the 4029, what each item is itemized, but the total is 3.4312.
Thank you.
There's a second to trustee McDonald's motion.
Shipley supports.
It's a motion by trustee McDonald, supported by trustee Shipley to approve the resolution, which approves the levy of the 2023 millage rates. Clerk Slater, please call the roll.
Trustee Shipley,
Yay.
trustee Kessel,
Yes.
trustee McDonald,
Yes.
trustee Nordhook,
Yes.
clerk Slater, yes, supervisor Lesbrunz.
Yes, motion carried. Thank you, Assessor Genter. Next, 061-2023. Consider approval of the furniture bid for Fire Station number 1. I believe we have Captain Stevenson here. Welcome, sir. Thank you.
Good afternoon, good evening. I'm Captain Stevenson with the Cascade Township Fire Department. Last week, we had 4 bids for our furniture for our new station that's currently being built. We sent those bids off to our architect, Williams, to have their experts look at it and then give us a recommendation on how we should go forward. With that, they came back with their recommendation, which of the qualified bids, they went with the lowest bidder of the qualified bids. And they recommend that we go with Custer for $79,981.31.
Certainly a reputable and local company. What was the original budget? Do you remember?
Yes, the original budget was $65,000 for the furniture. I do want you to know that all the bids came in very close to that $79,000 range. That seems to be the going rate right now for the furniture, what we're going for with our station. At least with the bids for the design furniture that we were going with.
We're a little bit over, but we've saved in other places, I think, overall.
Our construction contingency balance right now is $300,000. We're way under budget on that. So we're doing a great job with that. We're very excited the way Triangle and Williams are working. So with that, we'll take the money out of that. So it'll be very small for students.
So we're still on time and on budget.
We're still on time. We're still looking at October 1st for the completion.
I'd make a motion that we approve the
Trustee
bid.
Shipley. A second.
I'm sorry.
I was just gonna ask Cap. Now this is the quality furniture that you need. The township residents have said they want fire protection. So this is going to provide the quality furniture that you need and office furniture to give them that protection, correct?
That's correct. In fact, this also covers our training room and all our admin offices and our inspection offices. So our training room actually is going to have some nice tables. So we'll be able to use that for training with our fire departments, bring in other agencies also to train. And I believe we're going to use it as community service for communities to use it.
So you're not going to come back here in 2 months and say, oh, golly gee whiz, we forgot and we need a little bit more, correct?
That is correct, sir. I will not come back here.
Thank you.
Captain Stevenson.
Just do it.
Captain Stevenson, for this board and then members of the public who haven't been following this close, can you give us a background about the partnership with Steelcase and then also Jonathan Stevens, but separate for this?
Yes, so
this bid?
with Steelcase, we work with Steelcase a lot. Steelcase for first responders, they have a furniture that's been returned. It's still brand new. Like if someone orders, they don't like the color, and we go in there and we buy we get all of our chairs there, which about I want to say 20% to what the original price is. I know we've got
80% off.
Yeah, 80% off. So we've got some very nice chairs for a real good price, and Steelcase works with us for that. And that's where we do a lot of our chairs for office, the very expensive type office chairs. We'll get our chairs there. And that's kind of how we're looking for the individual office for the admin to sit in and for our watch office for our firefighters to do the reports. With the mattress, with Jonathan Stevens, the mattress, they donated all the mattresses for our bunk rooms. So we'll have all brand new mattresses, and we're very excited about that because the ones we have right now are getting kind of old, kind of hurt your back after a while. So it'll be nice to have new mattresses.
Great. And somebody's building something too within the fire?
Yeah, one of our firefighters is building a table, our dining room table. They're building, it's going to have parts of, I believe it's going to be like a ladder is going to be part of it. And there's some other fire props, like maybe with either fire, if I'm going to say fire extinguisher or fire hydrant or something for the legs, and then they're putting our logo on it. So it's going to be beautiful. Very excited. We're very excited for the whole move-in that's going to happen.
Kevin, who's doing that?
That's a firefighter, Michael Limkill.
Okay.
Yep.
Thanks.
So we're excited for all that. We have a lot of talented firefighters.
You guys have been doing a great job.
Thank you.
I think Jim had a motion halfway made.
Yeah, before, yeah. to accept the bid of Custer for 79,981.31 for the furniture for a new fire station.
Shipley supports the motion.
It's a motion by trustee Kessel, supported by trustee Shipley to approve the furniture bid from Custer for fire station number 1. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you, Captain
Thank you.
Stevenson. 062-2023, resolution to approve the rezoning of 10 acres from a PUD to R1 residential located at 7540 and 7550 Alaska Ridge.
All right, so here the applicant's requesting to rezone 2 parcels located at 7540 and 7550 Alaska Ridge, totaling a little over 10 acres in size from a PUD to the underlying R1 zoning. They're making a request because they would like to add a 3rd parcel, but the language in the PUD limits the total number of parcels to 2. The property is rezoned to PUD in 1995. At that time, there was only 1 parcel and the property owner was looking to add a 2nd. But there were no splits available. So as a result, the PUD was created to allow for 2 site condominiums. I think it is helpful to know that the Michigan Land Division Act was amended in 1997. And as part of that amendment, the number of splits for all parcels was essentially reset. So if the applicant would have had to try to split the property after 97, they would have then been able to do so. If the property were to be rezoned to R1, the condominium would have to be dissolved, resulting in 1 new unplatted parcel. The new parcel would have 4 divisions available, so it could be split into a total of 4 parcels. And just as a reminder, the minimum lot size in the R1 district is 40,000 square feet. Alaska Ridge is a legal non-conforming private street that does not meet the current standards of the private street ordinance. So if the rezoning is approved and the applicant would like to split the new unplatted lot into more than 2 parcels, they would have to upgrade the entire street or apply for a private street exception since they'd be adding a new parcel to the street. But that's a second item for the applicant to work on only if the rezoning is approved. The master plan has a designation of rural residential for the area, which most closely relates to the ARC zoning district. However, the underlying zoning of these parcels, as well as the zoning for all parcels west of Alaska Avenue, is R1 with an area of a little over 10 acres. Even if the new unplatted parcel were to be split into 4 parcels, the density would still not be greater than the 2.3 acres allowed in the ARC zoning district, so would not be changing the use or character of the area. The Planning Commission held a public hearing on this matter at the July 10 meeting and has recommended approval of the rezoning. And at this time, staff are also recommending approval of the request to rezone 7540 and 7550 Alaska Ridge from a PUD to the R1 zoning designation.
And this diagram that's right here in our packet, it has the 2 houses on either end. This is what you're talking about. That's all PUD right now.
Correct, yes.
And they want to split that into 1 parcel for 1 house, 1 for another, and then have a piece of land left that can be split 4 times.
No, 4 total parcels.
Okay,
of the whole
all right. I
thing.
misunderstood because I didn't see how you could have 4 splits with what was left.
Yeah. So yeah, just in that entire area, there'd only be 4 potential
Okay, the
parcels.
2 that are PUD now and 2 more.
Correct.
All right, thank you.
Brian, is there any deterrent to this request? Any negative side to it?
I don't believe, at least not for the rezoning. Frankly, I think it's a little more helpful to have it be the same zoning for all neighboring parcels. Now, they might have a few things to work through if they want to split it. And then regarding the private street exception, we'll have to work through that. But just strictly in the rezoning itself, I don't see a downside to that.
Okay. Thanks, Brian.
Further discussion or a motion?
Shipley makes a motion to approve the rezoning of approximately 10 acres from PUD to R1 residential. Addresses of 7540 and 7550 Alaska Ridge.
Support.
That's a motion by trustee Shipley, supported by trustee McDonald to approve agenda item 062-2023 in its existing form. Clerk Slater, please call the roll.
Trustee Nordhook,
Yes.
trustee McDonald,
Yes.
trustee Kessel,
Yes.
trustee Shipley,
Yay.
clerk Slater, yes, supervisor Les Prince.
Yes, motion carried. 063-2023, approval of the outdoor gathering permit for this year's Cascade Metro Cruise warm-up. Thank you, Brian.
All right. Yeah. So the Metro Cruise warm-up is a DDA sponsored event that's been going on for a number of years now. Since we don't currently have a DDA staff person, I've been assisting with the event committee as they plan for the event. And one of the steps is to receive an outdoor gathering permit from the board, since the event is expected to draw over 200 people. Similar to previous years, the event will be held one night only, and will be from 4:30 to 8:30 on Thursday, August 24. The event takes place in the parking lot of the Thornapple Center in front of the Fulling Warehouse. So there are kid-friendly activities planned, along with food trucks and a live band. And in past years, we've seen as many as 150 cars participate as well, and it's a great event for the community. So at this time, staff recommend approval of the outdoor gathering permit for the Metro Cruise warm-up event.
Trustee Shipley?
Brian, have you had any negative comments from the public on this? It's an annual event. Has anybody said, yay, we're all for it, or nay, we're against it?
I haven't heard it, and I haven't been involved with it before recently, but I haven't heard any. I think there's just the occasional, there's some of the businesses in the area are generally supportive of it. Sometimes a few customers get upset if they can't get into the Dollar Tree or something like that during the event, but generally everyone's very supportive of the event.
Just a quick thank you to the chairperson of the DDA, Jennifer Puplava, who did a lot of work behind the scenes. Stepped up and really volunteered some time and her expertise for the permitting process behind the scenes, because this year's was a bit different. So, and you too. Further discussion or a motion?
I make a motion to approve the outdoor gathering permit for the Cascade Metro Cruise warm-up.
Shipley supports.
It's a motion by Clerk Slater, supported by Trustee Shipley, to approve this year's outdoor gathering permit for the Metro Cruise. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Last item, 064-2023, resolution to amend ordinance number 1B of 2020. Manager Andrzejewski?
Yes, this came about as we got calls from realtors saying you have an ordinance that requires us to tell the seller that or the new buyer that they must tie into a water line if it's available, even if they have a well. If the property is going to be sold, they must tie in. This part here suspended that during COVID until June 30th, 2021, which obviously is 2 years ago. So this needs to be updated, because right now we have told the realtors, anybody who's called, and there's only been one or two, that we're not enforcing the ordinance at this time, but technically we should do something about it. Now, unfortunately, and I hate to admit this, I think I made a mistake. This is an addendum to the ordinance. So the next meeting, we're going to have to actually look at the ordinance and change that to where whatever the board wants, whether they want to do it or not do it.
Is it
Tonight, what you can do, I just thought of this as I was rereading this again. You can extend the effective date of the moratorium till, a couple months or the end of the year or whatever. That'll legally allow us to tell realtors and buyers that they don't have to do it. Okay.
Is there any notice or public notice or public hearing requirement to amend this ordinance?
No, I talked to somebody about that and they said no.
Okay.
So this just says we're going to take this amendment and extend it, or you could vote on extending it a couple months or till the end of the year. And then the next meeting will have the actual ordinance that you can change.
So this was the original ordinance, not the moratorium, but the original ordinance that required residents to hook up to city water if it was available within a certain amount of feet from their home.
If they sell their property.
If they, upon sale. So the county's requirement is upon failure of their well, then, but when was that enacted by this township board?
This amendment was enacted May 13th, 2020. And it expired June 30th, 2021. That's just the amendment.
That's the
amendment. Ordinance is there. So what we need to do tonight is extend the amendment, because what I should have brought you was the actual ordinance. And I didn't do that until I just saw it where it says 1B of 2020. And I was reviewing and I said, I better make sure I have the right thing. And actually 1B of 2020 is the amendment.
So at some point prior to 2020, this prior board went stricter than the county to require mandatory hookup upon sale.
Yes.
Rather than the county's more lax requirement that already applies to us, which is upon failure of their well.
Or
This board
septic.
went.
Or something.
Well,
Or
or
sep-
septic.
Oh, okay. If available. Then 2020, again, prior to this board, they put a moratorium on it, but then it never came to this board again. That moratorium expired.
Expired.
So now we're doing cleanup work.
Right, we have to do cleanup work because we don't want to technically have to enforce the ordinance until you guys make a decision whether you want to do that or not.
There's one other thing though, and when we made the decision to change the ordinance, we waived all the assessments. So the assessments ranged anywhere from 7,500 a lot, I think, up to in excess of $22,000. So my neighbor, for example, he hooked up and he didn't sell his house and he didn't have a failure. He just was happy as the dickens to not have to pay the assessment. He had to pay a plumber to bring the line in, but no assessment. And so we haven't changed that. And that was a big motivation for having people hook up, because when they sold, it was usually a seller rather than a buyer's expense. And the problem that we had is, you only have to hook up if there's sewer and water available. We didn't want wells to continue to be dug and dug and dug because we paid the cost to put the infrastructure in. We wanted to start having people hook up. So we did it upon failure and we did it upon sale within 90 days, I think.
Wait,
90
it's
days.
either or, not both, right?
It is 90 days.
90
No,
days.
if someone sells a house,
Yeah, they have to do it
They have
within
to-
90 days.
Or if their septic fails,
Right.
then they have to hook up.
Right
So,
away.
because we had a lot of failing septics in the township, which was causing a lot of problems.
Yep.
Which is how we help resolve that problem on Thornap Rover Drive, for example, because I used to live in a house down on Thornap Rover Drive by Tassel Park. And everybody had a lot of septic and water problems. And of course, we resolved that 2 years ago.
But that wouldn't apply to this situation because
Not now.
upon failure, the county already requires mandatory hookup. So
Yeah.
the failing systems, it's not,
They have to do it anyways.
they have to do it anyway, so it's really a non-issue.
I'm
As far as making it
I'm
going
good
to
with the county standard where upon failure, you've got to hook if it's available. I don't like the idea of the trigger of point of sale. I don't think that's applied evenly. There's some people that sell their house in 30 years. Some people sell it in 2. We could use a different trigger if we need a trigger.
But I think the thoughts were, I remember that some of the discussions are that this prevents the buyer from being put on the spot a year down the road, 5 years down the road, 2 months down the road. I mean, I bought a house 30 years ago and I didn't know about the septic issues that I faced because there was no requirement at the time to handle the problem. And I inherited, had to spend lots of money to fix the septic later on. So I think what the thoughts were twofold. One is if it's failing, obviously we don't want sewage running around. So if there's a failure of the sewage system and they were within the hookup range, then they had to hook up.
But
Which
that's
is
a non-issue.
that's a non-issue because
So
the
that's
county handles
irrelevant
that.
to
Right.
this. That's irrelevant to this particular topic
Right.
because it's already a given.
And the second issue was to not pass on potential problems to a buyer.
But
Then
you
the problem
do
is the
pass
township,
on.
but then the township didn't require notice properly so that this wasn't communicated to.
And so if we're
many
going to
different-
rewrite it, I agree that we should maybe say, let's get it cleaned up.
So it was still a surprise.
Well, you do penalize the buyer. You do surprise him because as soon as he buys a house, now he's told he has to hook up.
No.
Yes,
No.
that's what it says.
No,
The
it says
buyer
seller has to.
No, it says buyer has to.
It's supposed to say the seller.
It says buyer
But it
has to hook
doesn't.
up within 90 days.
So they literally bought the house, then they're the buyer,
They're gonna
then they
get
get
a
the surprise.
$10,000 bill.
That is a poor.
After they just had
That's
the
not how it's supposed to
septic
be.
inspected that by a private contractor that said, yes, this is good, or by the county said, yes, this is good. But now we have to surprise them and say, you have to destroy that perfectly good system. And it's not on the deeds. There's no special assessment. There's no language on the deed for the title company to find in a title search to say this ordinance exists.
Or the realtor.
And the realtors don't know about it because you got 2,700 real estate agents just in our association, plus outside agents come in. They don't know about it, and the title work doesn't say anything about it. So you have to disclose what you're doing.
Good job, Manager Andrzejewski, for picking up on this. We didn't even know, at least for those of us who came on board in 2020, after all this was happening, we didn't even know that the moratorium was set up to already expire. So
It came
good
about,
find.
it came about from Brian and Eric and everybody saying to me, you know, what do we tell the realtors? Do we tell them they have to enforce or not? So tonight, again, please vote on this to extend the moratorium. And then at the next meeting, you can look at the actual ordinance and make whatever changes you want. This will allow us legally to say you don't have to hook up.
So what would you recommend, Ted, as an extension? How much time do you think?
Say,
2
let's
months?
go to the end of the year just to be safe. But we'll get it at.
Will
the
you
next
make a
meeting.
note for when the other manager starts in September?
We'll handle this at the next meeting. We will bring you the actual ordinance that you can change. So do 2 months.
Okay.
Can you confirm also just with legal that there's the notice and publishing requirements, public
And we
hearing?
found that out. You're right. Wait a minute. Yeah, I'm used to the other state, which was only 24 hours.
No, we're good. We just have
It's
to,
like 18 days or something like that.
so yeah, just confirm that
yeah.
we're doing it right.
Yeah.
Then I move that we extend the moratorium to October 1. October 1, 2023. Would that be okay, Ted?
August, September. Yeah, that should be all right.
What was it? October what?
October 1, 2023.
Support.
All right, help me make sure I get this right. It's a motion by trustee McDonald, supported by trustee Nordhook to amend,
Extend more.
extend, other words, amend the resolution regarding the moratorium to extend that to October 1st, 2023.
Yeah, that'll do it.
And in turn, this board will consider the issue further
You will.
at a later
consider-
date.
You'll consider the whole ordinance.
Yeah, the whole ordinance.
Clerk Slater, please call the roll.
Trustee Shipley,
Yay.
trustee Kessel,
Yes.
trustee McDonald,
Yes.
trustee Nordhook,
Yes.
clerk Slater, yes, supervisor Lesbrunz.
Yes, motion carried. Thank you, Manager Andrzejewski. Having no discussion items on tonight's agenda, Article 11, now's the time for public comments. Whether the item you want to discuss is on tonight's agenda or not, please state your name, address for our records, and then either come to the podium or Ms. Brott can bring the microphone. Try to limit your comments to 3 minutes. Welcome.
Thank you. Good evening. My name is Terry Riggle, and I live at 2765 Orange Avenue in the Gaylord House Apartment Senior Complex, income-based. My neighbor received a letter last week from the Rapid stating that the Go Bus service would be discontinued. And then there was an article that was then written on the MLive website, and which was very thorough in explaining what had happened. And we understand all that. We would like to make you aware and the DDA aware that even though there is alternative transportation for seniors who may have, disabilities or over the age of 65 through Hope Network and through RideLink, that those services run Monday through Friday, usually 9 to 5. There is no service on the weekends, though, for senior citizens in the township because Go Bus was the only one that was providing that service. And so we're here tonight. I brought a few of my friends to just ask that perhaps the board would consider, and I don't know if this was, I know in the article it stated that there was discussion and trying to get things worked out. If the board could just contract with Go Bus.
The way it works is the Rapid, they are legally required to add Go Bus to their service, but it's very expensive for them. And so they negotiate the Rapid contracts, and then they're required by the state just as, for different reasons to offer that alternative service for ADA compliance. So they will absolutely not, we have other options that we'll look into, but they're not, they won't do it. They're not required to do it. And
I wondered, since it did come from the rapid, that, I was afraid that it would be impossible.
but it's a good question. And
Yeah. Also, I did notice that you said something, Supervisor, about working with Lyft to maybe subsidize rides. Do you have any idea of what that cost would be? Because right now it's about $25. Like, my neighbor goes to church at
30 seconds.
Oh, thank you. In Wyoming. And so it would be, cost prohibitive.
there's a lot of potential pitfalls as you bring up. And then both of us will talk about it in manager and board comments. That's a concern. And I think we have a better alternative.
Can I leave the letters that the residents wrote in support
Please.
with the clerk?
Yes,
Or-
please. Thank you.
Clerk,
Our deputy clerk.
Back there with Chrissy.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Frances Foley, and I also live at Gaylord House. I've only lived in Michigan for 17 years. I lived in Massachusetts about 60 years. I noticed that the assisted livings all have transportations on the weekend, and I don't know if we could network with them, if other residents could do that. And also, I think the Rapid is a little bit behind times, where in greater cities in the United States, I believe it's 7 days a week that you get transportation. I realize Michigan is a larger state, but not in population. It's more agriculturally, where Massachusetts is more high tech, except for in the western part, which is more farmland only for apples. But I believe in this day and age, if senior citizens and disabled people are not taken care of, shame on some of these people, shame on these big corporations. And their day will come that they may regret it, because they'll be in the same boat someday.
Karma's a real thing, right?
You got that. Right.
I keep hoping.
I appreciate your time and your effort and for listening to me.
Thank you for coming. Manager Andrzejewski, when we talk about the after hours, could you make a note that we could potentially subsidize other assisted living centers' transportation that's already existing? We are going to get beat up by the little old ladies tonight.
Thank you.
It's hard to be mean to you guys.
I have a wonderful friend here who helps me with my eyes and my ears. I'm just so thankful to be able to just share with all of you appreciation for 12 years of riding with Go Bus. I moved here 12 years ago. I have enjoyed it very much over at Gaylord House. And shortly after I moved here, Go Bus took on the contract to provide service for Cascade Township. And it's been a wonderful experience. For me, it's not just a ride. I love to meet the people on the bus and the drivers. I've had some wonderful experiences. I've had friendships that I've made, real ones. And I find out what people's lives are like. I can pray for them. But one of the things I want to thank you for, I don't know how long any one of you have been on the board, but I do want to thank you and past members for providing that service, which I think is very essential for this community. For me, it is not just a ride for me. I am one of them. But you have a portion of the population in Cascade Township that are dependent on help because they can't drive anymore for some reason, or they're handicapped. And I will admit, I like Go Bus because daytime, night, weekends. The others don't provide that. But I really would like the possibility that you could reconsider. I don't know how all this works. And perhaps come up with something. They could take care of a group of us people who depend on transportation. For us to go and ask our family and our friends, that would be hard. I mean, we'd be asking all the time. Go Bus is a big help. So I want to just thank you for providing it. I hope you will be willing to reconsider and provide this kind of service again. I thank you very much.
Thank
And
you.
at one time,
A second, Jane. Oh, what, you're gonna tell me what he says? Okay.
at one
You're gonna have
time
to tell me what
before
you
the
said.
rapid, that service, the rapid hasn't always been in Cascade. But we used to have a Go Bus, just the Go Bus, and we had a contract to provide that service. But when the rapid came to Cascade and started to provide the 28th Street route to the businesses, then the Go Bus became part of it. So we weren't able to separate the two contracts anymore, where at one time we were. So that's what got us into a bind now. And I know that Ted's going to talk a little bit about some alternatives he's been looking into to replace the Go Bus for everybody that used it.
And this is not a substitute. We're still looking into all other options that will address the off hours. But just as far as a community conversation, the township has multiple churches have reached out to the township. How can we help? Willing to partner, and just as a community, right? This is, we'll do what we can from the government's perspective, but now is a time also where the Cascade Christian Church right around the corner from you guys, the one up at Burton and Cascade wants to be helpful in the community. Talk to your churches also, not even if it's yours, but like, it's more, we're trying to be creative and that.
That's great.
But it is a priority and we'll do what we can.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. My aunt gives somebody a ride. It started off to church, but now it's pretty much a lot more than that.
It's okay.
She's who you want. Welcome, sir.
Good evening. My name's Steve Faber, 1845 Meadowfield, Grand Rapids, Michigan. I also work with DPW, Kent County DPW. I'm sure you're tired of talking trash tonight, but got a couple more.
No, we're just happy we don't have to make the call.
Yeah, that's right. Just to read a quick quote, I would rather have my children undertake a debt of reasonable proportions and expose them to a threat of contaminated drinking water, polluted Great Lakes, toxic health hazards, and garbage without end. That is not the legacy I wish to leave for future generations and future Michiganians. That's Congressman Vern Ehlers, 1988. Vern Ehlers made that quote prior to making a really tough decision to invest in waste energy. He did that vote and led that project because he had cited a landfill, and he never wanted another commissioner or another township in Kent County to have to go through that process. And that's what waste energy has done. It's prevented an entire landfill from being built in our community, 5 million tons of waste. That's what we're really proposing with this sustainable business park, is a continuation of that legacy. Michigan is number one. We are number one for the amount of trash buried per man, woman, and child in the nation. 62 tons under every one of our feet in Michigan. That is not what I want to be number one in our community. Landfill fees are also on the rise. So we can talk about the increased cost of processing. But landfill fees in the Midwest went up 22% last year. They continue to rise because of the long-term carrying costs of legacy costs of landfill. So it's not as simple as saying, well, if we do nothing, then we'll just keep the rates that we have and nothing will happen. It will happen, and it's going to happen for future generations. I have a 2-year-old daughter. The thought of her being 69 years old when we finally close a new South Kent landfill and shut it down is crazy to me. This is the time. This is why we pushed this project as hard as we have. We would love to continue the conversation with you. I would encourage you to go to reimaginetrash.org or just Google Kent County Department of Public Works. We have a whole site dedicated to the Sustainable Business Park. It has presentations that we've given to the community, to the commissioners. Please go there, look for that. I will leave my card, contact me. I will talk for hours on this topic if you want to. Finally, the case that you cited, sir, Charlevoix, Emmett County has flow control. That is why they have an incredible recycling rate. It coincides directing material to a county facility so that it can be sorted is the way that you increase your recycling rate. Flow control, we know through our research, actually helps small haulers. It creates a level playing field. So you don't have to be a large hauler with an independent landfill that blocks out competition. You have a county that's involved in collecting and having disposal facilities in North Kent, Central with the waste energy, and South that provides access to haulers, whether they're around the kitchen table or while they're multinational. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for coming tonight.
Good evening. Wormies again. Louis Chen, 5745 Whitneyville Avenue, Southeast. Well, thank you again, for the time. What an irony to be talking about trash today. And here we are trying to provide a solution to all that. I just want to say, I need to give us the opportunity to do this quickly, to prove that problem of trash can be solved easily. If you let me put this facility, I will create more low risk, easy to operate, small composting farms in different townships. This is something that will tackle the issue quickly. I also wanted to comment on, I'm here for the long run, right? But this is costing me money. And I see this going down to the planning commission. So does that mean I have to go to another planning commission meeting? Then they have to go to a special committee meeting?
Nope. But it does go down. They can clarify some of the issues, which I think you've already been speaking with Director Hillbrands on, and I know our legal counsel, they're kind of already up to speed. But just to make sure, because you've got such a unique operation there and we've got a big neighborhood of residents that we're not acting prematurely, but the same process is not required.
Yeah, just, if there is anything you can do to speed up the process, I really appreciate it. I have provided you the information. We are at the scale on on-farm composting operation. Our project is less capacity or activity of composting of an on-farm composting operation, which is 5,000 cubic yards. We're only doing 3,000 cubic yards. Our activity is less than an on-farm composting operation. Now, because we want to sell the compost, they are attaching the term commercial composting. That's why everyone gets scared. What does that mean? We want to sell the compost. Nothing different than any farmer selling their produce. This soil is going to go out of the farm the same way as if we grow a pumpkin and take it out of the farm. Nothing different. So this term, commercial composting, is causing all these concerns. You go to a commercial composter, you see a pile that's higher than this building. My piles of compost are 3 feet high. 3 feet high. There is no risk of nuisance, no risk of contamination of any kind, even if it rains, even if there is a flooding. Thank you very much.
Mr. Chen, are you willing for your business on this property to voluntarily give up the public retail on site?
Yeah, I will wait for your, written
I think it would help.
Request on all this, and I will be happy to evaluate that. Whatever it is, we actually don't have that much of a sale activity. this is a very expensive product. So every sale, we're talking about, $800, 1 yard. It has to be planned. It has to be scheduled. It's not like, oh, I'm just going to show there casually to spend $100,
Right. No, I think that would help a lot of residents on the other side of the street.
Mhm. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks for speaking directly to the board.
Rod Schultz, 2562 Orange Court. Glad to see the ladies here from Gaylord House. I happen to be an immigrant and I happen to be a veteran. So could you please ask the owners to replace their flag that is tattered? I find it very offensive. And I did come here legally. I should have come through the other border and gotten a phone. Okay, I'm here about when I call in about the liquor store down there. Nothing has been done.
International Beverage?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, I got a different story, but okay.
Okay, well, I can show you pictures that I took if you like to see them. But I've called Madison 3 or 4 times. I never get a call back. And I call, and I'm very careful about what I do. I always leave my telephone number twice. I've never, because I've had people call me a lot of times. And I've called and they said, well, she's working from home. I don't know how you work from home in such a small township, but maybe you can. But I've always found it advantageous if the supervisors would divide up the employees, and maybe once in a while ride with them and see what their job is and be proactive with them. But I haven't seen any management, and we got a new manager now, and I'm sure he answered questions better than the first meeting I was here to. And by the way, that guy that did the deer study, wow, I wish I'd gotten paid for that one.
He didn't get paid.
Oh, okay,
He
good.
did it for free.
All right. Anyway, but like Scott, a guy I know, and I have coffee with a lot of people, and they just wonder about people returning phone calls. I mean, I'm not the only one, okay? Now, Scott, one of the guys I have coffee with, had a good idea about having some of these historic locations having QR codes on them where people can put their phone up there and look at them. Like you go down to that house by the Cascade Church there. That's beautiful. Ted he's never there. I don't know. Must cost him a fortune just to keep it. But that's the kind of thing.
The one on the hill with the rock?
Yeah.
It's gorgeous.
Can you get your employees involved and find out what they're actually doing? Yeah, I don't know. I could be an idiot, which probably am. And at Peace and Orange Avenue.
30 seconds.
Okay, I don't need 30, but just about 10. The trash, the brush needs to be cut there. The landowner is responsible for it. And your International Property Maintenance Code, which you have as 299-5, has not been updated since 2018.
You on all that, Ted?
Yeah, but the International Property Code, I believe, is changed by the state of Michigan.
Yeah, okay, but
Time's up.
you're
We'll
still
look at it.
referring
Yep,
to it in
yep.
your ordinance.
We can add things. What you do is you adopt the Michigan International Property Code, and then you can add your own things to change it if we wanted to.
But the supervisor would like, I can send her copies of the photographs.
Time's up.
No, yes, I'll look at, but go through
Send them to
manager
me.
Andrzejewski and
Just send them to me.
Okay.
he'll fill me in, but.
I'll see you after the meeting.
Thank you.
Before I hit the mic, do I have the supervisor's permission to hand out a sheet that might help?
Sure.
I'll get on the same page.
Yeah, so we can see her.
If you don't have one for everybody, we can share.
Oh, thank you for bringing copies.
Anyway, stirring my personal tempest at a teapot here. My name is Jared Jakubowski, and my family has lived on White Hills for about 35 years.
I'd like to comment for the record on the judge's decision on the 4th of July to toss the best float award to a plain service truck. I want to thank the judges for your very surprising decision. Why? Well, it's not about a little dime store trophy. Oh, no. That little decision provided our community a huge insight into the character of some people representing this community. That insight comes thanks to the judge's disregard of all the time, effort, and love that was poured into the Jam and Beans creative, historic, and patriotic float. The float's unifying message was that it's time for Americans to come together, all pull together again. That theme resonated with those lining our streets, and that float was by far the crowd favorite. So why disrespect such a truly heartfelt and patriotic celebration of America? Why? Could it be that the judges are of the woke tribe that now find it fashionable to hate America? Or did the judges just hate Doug Lee? Or third, perhaps they hate both. As a Vietnam veteran, I have a profoundly personal awareness of the sacrifices, the ultimate sacrifices that span 2.5 centuries and began with patriot blood shed in 1776. The Jam and Bean float acknowledged those sacrifices that have given you the blessings of being a citizen of the greatest country in human history. Our petty judges spit on all that. They should be ashamed of themselves.
15 seconds.
But such shame would require integrity and honor. Integrity and honor. Thank God there are still some patriots among us. Thank Doug Lee for helping preserve, protect, and defend this country that God has so blessed. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, and thanks for the color picture. Who are the judges is the question. It wasn't me this year. It wasn't anyone on this board. I do know who it was. It was a private resident who has some affiliation with the Township Fire Department. After this year and seeing what happened, and I see your points, valid points, I'll go back to judging next year and make sure there's no scheduling conflict. So then if we make a wrong decision, at least you know who to aim it at. But I would agree that float is hands down better than the Irish ice cream truck. And I know the owners of Irish ice cream, so it's unfortunate. Can't make everybody happy, but it was a good float. So thanks for taking the time to show up, regardless of our political affiliations. It's a very valid point.
God bless America.
Anyone else? We weren't expecting that one, so thanks for coming. Welcome, sir.
Hello, my name is Daniel Schoonmaker. That's Schoonmaker.
Thank you.
I'm a resident of Grand Rapids, though I did live in Cascade Township for 2 years after I left the Marine Corps. So God bless America. I keep kind of going with that. I'm here today to speak on behalf of Wormies. Our organization, I work for a group called the West Michigan Sustainable Business Forum. And we actually work with a number of people who are representing here today. We support Republic Services and we support the Sustainable Business Park work that Kent County Department of Public Works is leading. We very much support the Rapid and we very much support Wormies. We actually sponsor the organization to the Next Cycle program and supported the state's efforts to fund the project that they're trying to build in Cascade Township. And we like it so much that we gave Luis and his company our Sustainable Business of the Year award last year. And we had Grass Mayor Rosalind Bless give him a trophy and talk about how wonderful the project that's going to go in Cascade is going to be for our broader Grand Rapids community. And this is something that I want to say I really appreciate the diligence that the the township at its various levels are taking into this, because truth be told, not every compost operation is someone you want in your community, in your neighborhood. But I think if you have probably already seen, if you ask about Wormies and ask about Louise, and this is an industry where, it's not uncommon for them to kind of talk bad about each other. No one has anything negative to say about Wormies, and everyone kind of talks about what an asset Louise is to the industry, to the Grand Rapids community, to people who are trying to learn about the issue. And I would kind of say to the neighbors who are worried about the traffic coming in, I would say maybe kind of flip that. What they're actually going to see is students coming in from Thornapple Elementary and kind of checking about how soil is made. And I think that's the kind of neighbor you're going to see. I would like to highlight that, as you kind of build this out, and I think I think it recognize that it is important that you create this in a way that someday it doesn't invite a use in that neighborhood that you don't want. The state of Michigan does have resources I'm sure they would make available through the Next Cycle program. And in fact, they have a current grant from the Economic Development Agency that can provide technical support through RRS to help you write that permit in a way that can allow you to welcome Wormies in an expedient fashion. And because I know that Cascade is a community that's open for business and likes to bring good entrepreneurs in and support that small business.
30 seconds.
Partners like ours in the state of Michigan would like to provide you whatever support you can need to help you get to the point where you can say yes to this wonderful company.
Thank you. Good evening, sir.
Well, good evening. Carrie Gorsuch. I live at 3044 Thornapple River Drive. Just a quick question, sort of comment. There's some rumors going around the neighborhood that there will be some new traffic control on the stretch of road there between Thorn Hills and Cascade. If so, that's great. I'm all for it. My first choice would be to cap it off somewhere and do 2 cul-de-sacs. We'd settle for a one-way. Even speed bumps would be great. There was another accident this last week, and there have been at least a dozen since I've lived there. And then on a separate issue, still love that logo. It'd be great if we could get more stuff out of the river, floating debris, sediment dredged, that sort of thing, make it more usable. I know it's not exactly public use, but still those of us that use it need that. And that's all. Thanks.
Thank you. The township is looking into traffic controls, different options, and we won't do anything without public support. But it's an issue that's been identified in your stretch for sure. Mr. Van Solkema.
Hello. Scott Van Solkema again. Last meeting, I touched base about the sidewalks around the village. Did we ever find out who's in charge of those or maintains them? Okay. And then regarding the Wormies thing, so then it'll go back to the planning commission for their meeting on the 7th, and then they should hopefully get everything done. Then
And then it still would have to go back up to the board, right?
then the 9th. I mean, I don't understand why why it got tabled instead of sent back to the planning last month.
Because the giant group of residents on the other side of Whitneyville had some concerns, and given the uniqueness and the complicated zoning issues, we don't want to shove anything through.
Gotcha. No, that's understandable. But again, I mean, they do have a very large grant from the state for Eagle, because obviously I'm assuming they're a reputable company. They're doing things right. They're, dotting their I's, crossing their T's, following their things enough to get that. And, obviously we don't want this to be another liquor license thing that went from September to mid-June. So, I mean, that's a long time. So it does keep costing them money. Also the pathways, I don't know, again, if you guys have been down on Peace Street, the gravel road in the village, Orange and Peace, there's an extreme washout anytime it rains, and it just covers the path with dirt and rocks and gravel and everything. I don't know if that's maybe on the agenda for maybe next year's path project or anything. That's
We We looked at it, but it's a road. The problem is the road, not the pathway that goes over it.
Yeah.
And it's gravel and it's, if you're going to update the road and pave it or do different things, then the road commission brings it up to whatever standards they have, which means on an old road like that, you're going to have a certain amount of width, which is going to take up all those old trees.
Mhm.
And then you're going to have a relining of the actual center line, because usually what looks like the center is not actually the center. So it's a whole nother can of worms. So we have looked at it, but first step would be to see if we can control some of the other things without redoing the road.
There are things, I mean, I did look at that up. There's this thing that you can possibly down there. It's called a cattle guard, where it allows for vehicles to still go over, but then it's sort of like a dugout underneath it. So then it would catch all that debris and all that. Obviously then
30 seconds.
clean that up, but at least that's an option to keep the paths clear and not have to repave the whole road. So just some thought, but okay. That was it. Thank you.
Thank you. Ted, can you touch base with Engineer Thorne and he can work with the road commission to see about that?
Yeah, I thought Eric was already looking at that.
I think he has,
Yeah.
but what is cattle something?
Cattle guard.
Cattle guard.
What is the name of the street again?
Peace
Peace.
Yep.
in
I
the
think Eric-
village area.
Yeah, I think he already was looking, but cattle guard, okay.
And then the road commission will know right off the bat if that's something they allow or don't, or have any other ideas. Thank you.
Hello,
Welcome.
Chandler Michalski, 5745 Whitneyville, here with the Wormies. Just wanted to thank you again for all of your time, for working with us. Just wanted to address some of the concerns from last meeting as well. And the traffic thing, I think we said, like 6 cars per day, and that's like a high number. Like we're talking very, very small amounts of vehicles coming in. And again, like if we did something else with this property, like developed it and turned it into a subdivision, how many cars would be coming every day, and like what would that do to the traffic? Also, if you go down Whitneyville, you look all around and there's tons of housing developments going up and deforestation happening all around us, and we're losing all of these valuable trees and all of the essential wildlife and whole entire ecosystems. Like I can't just describe it in these simple sentences. It's absolutely devastating what's going on. And, it's needed. We need new houses. And so there needs to be a balance. We can't just continue to turn everything into housing developments. We are here to plant more trees, to reforest, to remediate this property and add so much value to this township. People say that they come out and they live out here in the country because they love nature. And then their next sentence is, oh, but we don't want birds. So I'm just a little bit confused about that. And, we're going to provide an oasis of life for so much of our animal friends and everything. Another concern that was brought up from the doctor, who, thank God he left the hospital to get here. And no, I'm sorry. He was talking about aspergillus and these molds and these microbes that are ubiquitous. They are in nature. If you go outside right now, you're going to breathe in aspergillus spores. It's how it is. It is a known endophyte, which what that means is these are living fungi, and an endophyte could be a bacteria as well, but it's living inside of healthy plants. It's a part of nature. It's a part of our ecosystem. And it actually, in the compost pile, helps remediate all sorts of heavy metals and toxins. And all of these microbes, especially the ones that are native to the worm's microbiome, a worm can eat salmonella and E. coli and all of these known human pathogens and totally clean them up. Like our compost is clean to the touch. It's healthy in your garden, but also it's like we are really remediating a lot of problems, and our property would be such a huge carbon sink to sequester
30 seconds.
carbon dioxide and all sorts of things that the airport right down the road is putting into our environment. And really, when you look at it, we're going to be cleaning up the environment. We're going to be remediating, and we're going to be adding a lot of value to this township. So thank you again for your time. We appreciate everything that you've done to work with us.
Thank you.
Thanks.
If any of our Zoom participants would like to participate in this public comment, please make certain to leave it at 3 minutes and raise your hand. Supervisor Lesperance?
Okay. Manager Andrzejewski, any manager comments?
Thank you very much. Just a couple of things tonight. First of all, I want to mention to everyone out there, the board has a committee of personnel and finance committee. And I've been working with them for the last 3 meetings, and I just want all of you to know they do an excellent job. I bring them certain things, department heads brings them certain things. They discuss it, they look at it, and they come to a decision that we move on to here or that I can implement. So you need to take note that you've got people out there that are looking at the residents' well-being. I know one of our department heads even commented this morning that he was really appreciative of the work. He didn't know what that committee did and how we meet every other week and what we do. So they do a good job on that. Now, the more important thing, I want to talk a little bit about the rapid and what's happening here and where we're going from here. But I'll remind you of something. You might have remembered Ronald Reagan. He said the 8 or 9 most scariest words in English language. I'm here from the government and I'm here to help you. So the other side of the story is we have tried. The board did, other people did. I tried right at the end. And I met with the CEO of the Rapid. And I said, can't we come to some agreement? Can't we do something to keep this going? And each step of the way, we're met with resistance. We're met with do it our way or no way. We don't like your recommendations. We don't want to implement your recommendations. This is our proposal. Take it or leave it. Well, the township and the board decided it's time to leave it. Now, with that said, we as a group, and I'll speak for myself, but I know everyone here feels the same way. We feel an obligation to provide public transportation to people going to and from work on all the businesses on 28th Street and around there. Those people deserve a lot of credit for having a job and going to work. How many times we're looking out there now, all the help wanted signs, and nobody wants to work. So we want to help them. We also want to help the disadvantaged, the disabled, the special needs people who need assistance in getting to their appointments, to getting some of them that also work. Because I got calls from Goodwill. I got calls from other places saying, we have special needs people who we employ who need to get to work. So we're not unaware of that. We feel for that. We want to find solutions to it. We want to get people to and from work, and we want to get the disabled and disadvantaged transportation. Now, with that said, we're looking at several alternatives. And I can't go into specifics tonight, but I wanted everyone, the board knows, and I want all of you to know that we are looking at doing something to replace the Rapid. Okay. And it's doing it with an existing business or organization out there. And we'll have more for you at the next meeting, or you'll see it on the website or the news or whatever. But we're really trying to do it. And I don't want to get into details now because I don't like to jinx it. And I know we're not there yet. We're still working on it. Okay. So for all of you senior citizens, of which I am one, Timmy's one, some of the other ones are one. We'll get there with you someday too. We'll need the transportation. We're working on it. We're going to do our best to try to find a solution. It may not be the perfect solution, but we'll start here and then we'll keep going from there. Okay. That's it.
Thank you. Board comments.
I'd like to thank you all for coming here. There's a few empty seats. Residents, bring your next door neighbor, because I, for one, and I think I speak for the entire board, want to hear your concerns and your ideas. If you have a great idea on the transportation, call our interim manager. He's there for it. He's a great relief, and he's going to be training the new interim or the new permanent manager. So make sure that you train him right. Okay. And everybody out there in Zoom land, thanks for attending. Appreciate everything that you do. And if we don't get your input, we can't make the right decision. And I'd love it if Captain Stevenson, I'd love it if in the future you set up more chairs for more residents. Okay. Because in the past, back in the 60s and 70s, Township board meetings were packed, not because residents were PO'd about decisions, but they wanted to be part of the solution of the township. That's all I have.
Thank you. I just want to thank everyone for coming, everyone who's contributing their thoughts on these issues where there's no easy or perfect solution. Special thanks to the Planning Commission for all the work they've done on the Wormies project, and also just to make sure that going forward, the township internal processes serve the residents, those businesses that were running smoothly. And they've done a ton of work in the last 2 years to make up for that. And also the DDA, and specifically its transportation committee, who have been on this public transportation for the past year. This is no surprise to the Rapid. We did everything we could. The only surprise was a month or so ago when we met their deadline in June, when they wanted a firm answer, that they flatly rejected all 5 proposals. And when we asked for an alternative, what they suggest, 0 response, and didn't even answer follow-up questions. So it won't be a perfect solution, but at this time, I'm hopeful that it'll be as good or better to the service you're getting. So pay attention and we'll do what we can. Is there a motion or any other?
Make a motion to adjourn.
Support.
Well, that's what we're here for. We're here to listen to you guys and take care of stuff. So motion by Clerk Slater, supported by Trustee Shipley, to adjourn tonight's meeting. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you.